In the town of Aboso, where red dust rises with every step and the market songs echo like drums, there lived a young man named Kojo. From childhood, Kojo was known as the boy who prayed too loud. His voice carried through the rafters of the mud-walled church like thunder. When others whispered to God, Kojo shouted until his throat burned. When others prayed for minutes, Kojo wrestled for hours. His parents were poor farmers, scratching a living from tired cocoa trees. Their heart leaked when rains came, and hunger was their daily visitor. Yet, they dedicated Kojo to God, believing he would be the one to change their family story. He swept the church, led morning devotions, and fasted until his body trembled. To the congregation, Kojo was the firebrand, humble, zealous, untouchable. But beneath his fiery prayers, a seed of envy grew. Every Sunday, the church overflowed with testimonies. A trader would rise, announcing how God had blessed him with a new truck. A businesswoman would clap her hands, declaring how her shop had expanded. A family would sing with joy, telling the congregation about the new house they had built. The people clapped, the pastor shouted, "Glory to God," and Kojo nodded with holy seriousness. But in his heart, he was taking notes. Kojo saw what others missed. Testimonies were not only stories, they were roadmaps. If Brother Mensah spoke of his new cocoa farm by the quarry, Kojo memorized it. If Sister Adwa spoke of her shop by the bus park, Kojo stored the detail. Slowly, he built a catalogue of blessings. At first, he fought the thoughts. He would kneel at the altar at dawn, weeping, "Lord, forgive me for thinking of stealing. Cleanse me." But poverty is a stubborn preacher, and hunger makes men deaf to sermons of patience. Kojo began to reason with himself, if God refuses to bless me, but he blesses others, then perhaps their blessings are meant for me. After all, do I not pray harder than they do? One evening, after service, Kojo watched a man drive away in a brand new pickup truck. His children's laughter floated in the air, full and satisfied. Kojo's own stomach groaned like a drum of emptiness. That night, lying on his raffia mat, he whispered into the darkness, "If heaven will not open for me, I will break the lock myself." Thus, the prayer warrior sharpened his prayers into weapons. The first robbery was clumsy. He covered his face with a scarf, his hands shaking as he broke into the shop of a woman who had testified of her booming trade. He expected thunder to strike him, but instead, he walked away with bags of goods and bundles of cash. His fear turned into boldness. The following Sunday, he lifted his hands higher than anyone else, sweat pouring from his brow as he cried, "Lord, you are faithful." No one knew that the faithfulness he celebrated came from stolen coins. Weeks turned into months. Kojo became a master of double life, prayer warrior by day, armed thief by night. He still prayed before every robbery, asking God for covering. He still sang louder than everyone during worship, his voice breaking with emotion. Yet, while others worshipped God, Kojo worshipped greed. The town soon began to notice a pattern. Each time someone shared a testimony of financial breakthrough, a robbery followed. At first, people thought it was coincidence. But suspicion grew. Whispers began to spread like fire in dry grass. Some said it was the devil attacking the blessed. Others said God was testing the faithful. None suspected the boy who prayed too loud. Kojo, meanwhile, grew arrogant. He bought hidden luxuries, wore new clothes in secret, and ate meals his parents could not explain. He told himself he was only reaping where others sowed, and since no one caught him, perhaps God silently approved. But the eyes of God are sharper than the eyes of men. One fateful Sunday, a wealthy elder stood to testify. He had just finished building a grand house at the edge of town. He described its white walls, the carved wooden doors, the mango trees lining its compound. Kojo listened with hunger burning in his chest. That night, armed with a pistol and a black mask, he crept to the elder's house. What he did not know was that the elder had been warned. Survivors of past robberies had whispered their suspicions, and the church leaders had set a trap. As Kojo scaled the wall, torchlights flared. Shouts rang out. He fired into the air, but panic seized him. Before he could escape, strong hands gripped him, pulling the mask from his face. The crowd gasped. Kojo, the prayer warrior. The elder trembled, but his voice thundered, "So this is the wolf among us." The boy who listens to testimonies not to glorify God but to haunt his children. Kojo fell to his knees, words tumbling from his mouth, excuses, pleas, prayers. But the people's eyes were filled with horror. He was dragged before the church, exposed under the same pulpit where he once prayed with fire. Mothers wept. Fathers shook their heads. Some covered their children's eyes. That night, Aboso did not sleep. The news spread beyond the town. The prayer warrior who robbed his brethren had been unmasked. Kojo was handed to the police, and his days of stolen blessings ended in iron chains. In prison, Kojo sat on a cold bench, listening as a preacher visited the inmates. The man preached about Judas Iscariot, how one could walk with Jesus, pray, and still betray. Kojo wept bitterly, realizing he was no different. His prayers had been loud, but his heart had been hollow. And so, the people of Aboso remembered him not for his fire at the altar, but for his greed in the shadows. Moral of the story. When a man uses God's house as a cover for evil, his end will be disgrace. For testimonies are meant to glorify heaven, not to guide the greedy. He who prays with a corrupt heart is like a drum, loud, but empty inside. And sooner or later, every mask falls, every wolf is unskinned, and every hidden deed is revealed in the light. Thanks always for watching. Please follow up for more amazing stories from Tales by Gideon.